Hello apprentices, I wanted to do a short video for you on how to drape for your chemical waving portion of the state board exam. Now this is going to require 2 towels because it is a chemical service. So let's get started. You'll already have your mannequin sectioned off into the 4 sections from previously when we first started. So I want you to take a towel, fold it long ways like this, lay it over the top of the mannequin head with just the front hanging right below her eyebrows and the length of the towel on the bottom. Now we're going to take the other towel, the second towel, fold it again lengthwise in half. We're going to drape this around the neck of the mannequin with the ends coming towards you. So let's drape it around right under her chin, and we're also going to incorporate it, we're going to enclose this top towel in that. So let's bring it across, get it pretty tight, and then we're going to take our children's drape, bring it around the front of the mannequin, leave a little lip of the towel on top, and then we'll secure it very tightly here. And then we'll bring the flap of the towel back down this way. Now that you have your mannequin head parted off and draped for your chemical service, which is the chemical waving portion of the exam, there's a couple of things I want to go over with you. One of them is the pieces of equipment that you're going to be using, or tools that you're going to be using for this operation. One of them that you need to be familiar with, because it is chemical waving, which means the perming, is the perm rod. Now, most of you have used this in class before, but I want to explain a little bit to you about what you need to do for the state board. If you look at the perm rod, you can see it's got these little nubby protrusions all over that help to grip the hair when you're wrapping it around and keep them in the hair when you're doing a perm. But there's also these 2 little smooth bands. Now, when you're parting off the hair, because the instructions tell us that we are going to be waving that hair from, or wrapping the hair from the crown to the nape. So it's going to be a strip that's coming down the back of the head here. But I want you to have your partings where they fit inside these smooth little bands. So your parting is not going to be any bigger than this, wide across, than the perm rod, but I want it to fit in here. So it's really a small section of hair. Now let's part off the hair for the chemical waving portion of your state board exam. I want to show you what it's supposed to look like. Your back 2 sections will already be in place, so we're going to take small radial partings off of these to create one mohawk section down the back. Now you'll be wrapping your perm from the top of the crown to the nape of the neck. So this is how I want you to part it off. Release one of the sections. For this particular parting off, I like to use a rat tail or pintail comb. Now the hair gets narrower down here at the bottom, so I want to sort of fan this parting out just slightly. Now remember too that it has to fit inside the smooth little bands that are around this perm rod. So we're going to do about a 3/4 inch parting on each side of the middle part to create this mohawk section. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down. And then I'm going to use my duckbill clip to secure it out of the way. Same on this section. All right, let's take a look at this. Make sure that we're going to be able to get our rod all the way into the hair, all the way down, and that looks pretty good. So here's what your section will look like in the back. You'll have 2 on the sides, and then you'll have your one skinnier mohawk section that's right down the back and ready for you to wrap. I also want to show you how you might wrap your perm for the state board exam. There are a couple of different methods. You can either use one end paper or two. With one end paper, it's called a book and wrap. So you're laying the hair onto the piece of paper, and then you're folding the paper over so it looks like a book, and then you would proceed with the wrap. The second is called a double flat wrap, where you have two pieces of paper. So you would be laying the hair onto the first piece of paper, sandwiching it with the second piece of paper, pulling out so there's no ends sticking out, and then you would proceed with the wrap. So let me just show you what that looks like. Okay, we're going to pre-moisten the hair, make sure it's moist because you'll need that at the state board too. You don't want to be wrapping a perm on dry hair, it's very difficult. Okay, let's take off a parting. That parting can't be any wider than the width of the rod, so about 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we'll just pin up the rest. Now I'm going to do a bookend first, so we want to comb the hair, make sure it's moist, and then we want to comb it and make sure it's smooth. All right. We'll take our end paper, turn this way, take our end paper, we're going to place it onto the hair onto the end paper. I'm going to hold it with my thumb, and then I'm going to fold the paper over, pull it out, make sure that there's no ends hanging out, and it's up about the middle of the ends of the hair, about the middle of the paper. Place your rod, tuck that piece of paper under, roll it up, and then roll it down and start rolling down towards the head. Now I'm using my thumbs as I'm rolling up to smooth this hair. Okay, when we reach the top, we're going to take the band, make sure that it's not twisted, and place it over the top. You want it slightly loose. You don't want it too close to the head because that could cause breakage, but we also want to be able to move the rod when we're applying the lotion. Okay, let's take another one. Another small parting, about 1/2 inch in width. Let's pin the rest of the hair up. Comb through it. Okay. Pull the paper down so that the ends aren't hanging out. Place another piece of paper and sandwich it over the top. Pull that down. Place the rod underneath. Roll the rod up so that you can tuck that hair and the paper under, and then start your wrap up. Okay, band goes across the top. Make sure it isn't twisted. Okay, and it should hang about like this. You want it, like I said, slightly loose so that it's not too tight, but that you can maneuver the hair easily. Once you get your mannequin head wrapped, it should look something like this. They're coming from the crowns and all the way down to the nape. You have a uniform row. Everything is about the same tension, and you can move these rods around pretty freely. Now, the state board inspector will come up to you at this time, and she will say, or he will say, please demonstrate saturation. The first thing you have to do is put on the protective cream. Now, you'll have a spatula or a Q-tip that you can dip into the cream. You can place it onto your hand right here on top and dabble that all around like this. Make sure that you get enough protective cream on your Q-tip or spatula to cover the whole head, around the whole hair, because you're not going to be able to double dip. You immediately will throw that Q-tip or spatula into the trash can, and we will dabble this cream, especially right here at the nape where the lotion may flow, and then just go ahead and put it around the head. Make sure you get the ears, and then coming all the way back around again. Now you can wipe any excess cream off onto the towel. The next thing you'll do is take your cotton, double the cotton, and then I like to just twist it around, and then you're going to wrap it around the section of rods that you just wrapped. Okay. Okay, and tuck the ends in. Now, the next thing you're going to do is she'll say demonstrate the saturation. So you have to put on your gloves. Before you apply the solution, you must wear gloves. So slip the gloves on. Pick up your bottle. Now your applicator bottle will be much smaller than this and it'll have a skinnier tip. But you also have, or you should include in your kit, you probably won't have it, but you should include it, is another small piece of cotton to hang below so that you can catch any drips. If you drip onto the floor, any water gets onto the floor or falls off of the mannequin head onto the floor, you need to stop what you're doing, get a towel or paper towel, wipe it up, take off your gloves, throw them away, sanitize your hands, and then put on a new pair of gloves and continue on with your saturation. Now, the tip of the nozzle, as I said, yours will be much skinnier than this, but you want to have the nozzle flowing on top of the rod, and you don't want to drip any solution. So we want to hold the piece of cotton underneath, and you don't want to touch, but you'll want to saturate the rod. And I'm holding the cotton just to hold any drips that might come down, and then make sure that you get every single rod. Okay, hold that cotton underneath and let it drip for just a moment. That's why we have the other towel here, is to catch any drips. Then she'll say, would you please demonstrate a test curl? So you pick one, or she may pick one, whichever happens. You pick the rod, you take the rod, you unwind it, remove the band, unwind it 1.5 turns, just enough for you to get your hand underneath, and then you just hold it like this, just so you could see the S-shaped pattern forming. That's what a test curl is for, and you can kind of see it right there from the previous perm that we've done on this mannequin head. And then you will simply wrap it back up again and replace the band. Oops. Okay, now then she will come in and she will unwrap a rod just to make sure that you don't have any fish hooks. So she'll take this down, she'll look at your end paper and make sure that there's no ends hanging out and that it is enclosed in the end paper. At that time, she will say either to continue and remove your rods, or if not, you just stand there until you hear the instructions on what else you need to do and if you need to clean up or not. Don't automatically do that unless she tells you that it's okay for you to clean up. If not, you just stand there and wait for the instructions.